As you may know, I'm a sucker for a good deal, and furthermore, I have a real weakness for projects. So when the opportunity arose for me to purchase 2 non-running and neglected Seadoos for what I thought was a very good price, I couldn't help myself. In fact, I was so ecstatic that I blacked out. The last thing I remember was making an appointment with the seller, and then I woke up with a headache, and this was in my front yard. Today, I'm going to focus on this machine. It's a 1994 Seadoo SPX. Now, if you examine this machine closely, you'll see that there is some slight fiberglass damage. I'm not sure what happened here, but it's more than just a scratch in the gel coat. Nice little hole here, and at first glance I was thinking about repairing it, but I think this hole is pretty much beyond repair. See, it's all separated here, and I've never even tried to repair fiberglass before, and I don't think this would be a project suitable for a introductory effort. But the reason I want to focus on this machine is because fate would have it that I found another similar machine on Craigslist, and that machine supposedly has a clean body, but the engine is broken. So I'm thinking if I can get this one running and verify that it runs well, I can buy that hull, do a little switcheroo, and have a nice little Seadoo SPX for not a lot of money. I've already telephoned the gentleman who has the other watercraft for sale, and it is still available. So now the pressure is on to see if I can make this one run before I go look at that other machine. I've had it on the battery charger, and it doesn't turn over yet. The battery isn't taking a charge very well. If I push this, it looks like it wants to spin, but it's not spinning freely. I don't know if that's because the battery is not taking a charge, or if it's because the engine is frozen. I've sprayed some of this stuff down in the cylinders just in case there is something stuck, in hopes to loosen it up. I'm afraid that because of that nice little hole in the side, this machine might have been submerged, which means there could be water in the crankcase, and if that's the case, this engine is toast, and my whole grand scheme of buying another watercraft and switching things around is dead in the water. Well, I've reached down and grabbed this flywheel in an attempt to turn the engine over, and it seems tighter than it should be. But I have been able to turn it. It should spin freely, I think. So things aren't looking the greatest for this engine. Well, there it turned. Ooh, I don't like that sound. It sounds like the carburetors are about to barf. Oh, there, it's breaking free. Ooh. Maybe I should shoot some oil down in the carburetors. That's what we'll do. I'll take these off and see what the carburetors look like. These are pretty nice filters, K&N marine filters. So maybe I can sell those on eBay and recoup some of my investment if this machine proves to be junk. And let's see what this looks like. Can't really see much down there. getting easier. I don't like that sound though. I can just imagine a crankcase full of water down there. Rusted crankshaft bearings. I'll try the starter here and see what happens. Oh, hey, hey. That's good. So it effectively turns over. Ooh, and I can see water droplets, I think, that have been shot out of these spark plug holes. I think I should probably put some more of this lube down there. This is supposed to displace water, so if there is water, hope it does its job. Did you know that these are rotary valve engines? Rotax? No reeds. It's like an illiterate person. No reed. Ooh, I have oil on my lens. Stand by. After a few more minutes of working on this engine, I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is it turns over freely, and it also has spark, so the ignition system is good. The bad news is I took the pulse line off of the carburetor right here. See, the way this fuel pump works is it uses pressure from the crankcase to pump fuel from the tank to the carburetors via this little fuel pump here. And you'll notice when I turn it over, it seems to be discharging something, which is bad. All it should discharge is air. So there's a lot of junk down in the crankcase if it's pumping fluid out of that line. And that also means that instead of nice clean air going into this fuel pump, it has a lot of moist, oily, watery goo in there. So taking off these carburetors is pretty much mandatory. So I think that's what I'm going to do next. Well, I'm beginning to not like Rotax so much. I'm trying to take these carburetors off, and I removed the throttle cable, the oil injection cable, the hoses, and I'm ready to unbolt them from the manifold. And how am I supposed to get to this nut right here? Tell me, somebody, please. I can't put a socket on it. I can't put a wrench on it. I think a little bit of fabrication is in order. Oh, and even if by some miracle I did get that one off, we've got another one here to contend with. Let's go into the workshop. I'm going to sacrifice this old 13mm wrench and bend it so that this end is at a right angle to the main handle, and then I can just loosen it up like that. So let's put it in the vise. And of course, in a situation like this, heat is our friend. You didn't see that. Take two. Well, we'll try to sacrifice another wrench. This one looks like it was a different kind of metal. So we'll try this one. Luckily I have a few extras laying around. Looks Looks like this one withstood the stress. Now I'll just wait for it to cool and see if it does the job. And this is how we overcome goofy Austrian engineering. Off with carburetor number 1. A little bit of fluid in the intake manifold. Probably all that oil I shot down in there. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is take this one into the shop and see what it looks like on the inside. Screws are out. Let's see what this looks like. Not too bad there. I think this right here is a diaphragm, and that's what causes the fuel pump to work. Oh, and it's got these little one-way valves too. And you know, that doesn't really look bad. I guess all the water and oil that was pushed in through here, this is the pulse line from the crankcase, probably contained on the other side of this diaphragm, so it probably didn't get into the carburetor itself. That looks pretty good. Should I venture to take this off? Well, this doesn't really want to come apart, and I don't want to risk tearing this diaphragm, so I think I'll just give it the old shake. Bless ye, concrete, with water and oil from the holy jet ski. It is holy. And I think this diaphragm is still good because if I hook a hose up to it and blow, I think that's what it's supposed to do. So I'm going to say this end of the carburetor is good. I think I'm just going to put this back on and take apart the other side of the carburetor. This is where the jets are, I think, and see what that looks like. And let's see what it looks like under this cover. Evidence of the sea. And this is why I took the carburetor apart. See all that rust and stuff? Not supposed to be there. So this is the diaphragm that controls the fuel, and it opens up this little needle valve, or it's supposed to, and then fuel goes through some jets into the body of the carburetor. But right now I just see a lot of rust, so I'll go to work on cleaning this out. I've taken the carburetor apart to the extent that I think is necessary. This area down here where the main and pilot jets are is actually pretty clean. These other parts I'm just going to soak in some gasoline for a little while, and hopefully that'll loosen up all that junk that's caked on there. I've got this carburetor cleaned up and put back together, and upon dismantling the second carburetor, I see that it has the same affliction. So I'm thinking, instead of going to the trouble of cleaning this carburetor right now, I think I'm going to concentrate on seeing if the engine will even start or pop or make some kind of noise, just if I pour some gas into the cylinders, because if it won't run like that, there's no sense in cleaning out the carburetors, cleaning out the gas tank. So I think what I'm going to do is just dump some premix gasoline down each of these cylinders and then see if it'll start. I've spent quite a lot of time clearing out all the old water and oil that was in the bottom of this crankcase. I'm about to make it rain. I just had the spark plugs out and I ran the starter over and over and over again, but not continuously because I didn't want to burn it up. And I had some help with some compressed air. I blew spark plug holes out and blew out this intake manifold, and now when I turn it on, you'll notice there's no more spewing of liquid. So I'm thinking if I dribble some gas in here and reinsert the spark plugs, something should happen. Just kind of screw these in a little bit. I'm just looking for some kind of positive reinforcement to tell me that this thing isn't total junk. Not sure which way they go. This way seems natural. So, cross my fingers here and contact. Ooh, it started, I think. Dribble some gas down the actual intake port. Let's see what happens. All right. So, I think this thing has some promise. Enough promise, in fact, is that I think I'm going to go look at that other machine that I was talking about earlier, and maybe we can make something work between these two Seadoos. So I think I will clean this carburetor here because I am now enthused, and I'll have a look at that other jet ski that I was talking about earlier. Maybe we can make a deal, but either way, I'll catch up with you later. Thanks for watching.